Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. As you guys can tell, I actually have you set up on the tripod and with the good lens and microphone on here. Normally today's video I would probably be in the truck driving or in the SS driving somewhere, but just kind of wanted to go over a few things that have happened recently and actually directly impact the channel. So, as you guys know, very recently, within the last 2 weeks, there was a half-mile racing accident with the Wanna Go Fast company in New Orleans. A fellow car enthusiast that I know, Jeff Hageman, he's actually lives here locally in the Hickory area. I've met him several times, Streetcar Takeover, Wanna Go Fast North Carolina event last year. I've seen him out drag racing at Z-Max, and I know he drag raced regularly at other local 8th mile and quarter-mile tracks. He passed away. It's very unfortunate. And I actually have seen his car in action. I actually have some clips of his CTSV doing some tested tuning at Z-Max, so I'll cut to that now. They had a local cruising last Sunday. I was not able to make it. Basically, a memorial cruise and cruising up in Lenore, which is not very far from me at all. And actually, I just forgot about this, but I met Jeff probably 2 years ago at one of the Lenore cruisings. I've been there. I've got friends and family that live in the area, so I met him there, and that's when we started talking about half-mile racing. And he had one of his... I think he had a supercharged Grand Sport there, and he was telling me about this half-mile racing, and that kind of got the bug in me to want to do half-mile racing. And then I've been trying to go half-mile racing for the last 3 years, and I registered for Wanna Go Fast Virginia last year. Of course, that rained out or fogged out, and they didn't get any racing done. I was going to do the North Carolina half mile, but the Corvette wasn't ready, and the SS, I think I was still working on the blower, so that didn't happen. And then this year, I finally registered. You guys have known I've been working on the car. I've been talking about this event for probably 3 to 6 months now. Unfortunately, with Jeff's passing, the organizer of Speed Addicts / Vengeance Racing, I'm not sure. I don't think it's the exact same guy, but I'm not sure how their structure works out. But basically, we got an email yesterday early that they were going to cancel the event in Georgia at Heaven's Landing, which I understand. Jeff was a good guy, and his cars were awesome. Like that CTSV. Like there's a video of him just doing like rolling burnouts, killing tires and stuff, and I can't say I knew him on a personal basis, but I knew him enough to where, talking to him a couple years ago about half-mile racing is kind of what inspired me to try to get into that event, try to get into that sport. With his passing and the email that we got from Speed Addicts, I'm under the impression that they're not going to be racing at all the rest of this year. Wanna Go Fast, I haven't seen them cancel any events, but I wouldn't be shocked if that happens. And the Midwest and West Coast events, I haven't seen those update as well. So, I don't know. So you've got like 4 or 5 different companies all doing the same thing. There's no sanctioning body or safety rules for anything. Like, Speed Addicts has a little bit of safety. Basically, their rules were up to 200 miles an hour, you need a roll cage. And anything below that, it was just like a safety detection and spec sheet that you're supposed to go to a mechanic and get filled out. I printed out the safety tech sheet. It was basically like, check for brakes, make sure there's no holes or cracks in them. Tires have to be a certain age. Over 200 need a cage, a fire suit, I think a 5-point harness as well. Just basic stuff like that. So their safety standards are not universal. And I know Want to Go Fast in particular, I think it was almost rung what you brung. You know, I don't remember there being a very detailed safety checklist. I think maybe they wanted, maybe it was a similar like 200 mile per hour requirement. You need a roll cage and parachute, fire safety suit, and anything below that, I think it was kind of up to owner's discretion. And they did not require a mechanic, certified mechanic sign off a safety check on the car. So I don't know. I have a feeling that this sport venue, whatever you want to call it, this racing type of racing, I don't want to say it's dead. I want to say it's definitely going to be time for a change. I don't know if we'll get a like NHRA type, organization with rules, because I think something needs to change. A guy's life, and I knew the guy locally, seeing his car, seeing him run at Streetcar Takeover, and I think it's time to call for a change in this half-mile racing. For me, I've got a 700 horsepower Corvette, give or take, and that car, I don't know what it would do in a half mile. Like right now, it traps 125 in the quarter. Well, double that distance. I mean, that car could easily get 150 to maybe 160. The email that came from Speed Addicts was kind of indicating a limited mile per hour. I know that land speed racing, like East Coast Timing Association, 10 years ago, they used to race down here in the Carolinas, and I was trying to register for that event. But they basically had a novice class, I think it was up to 150. Something like that. Like you had to qualify, you had to test and qualify and almost get a license / certification for each class that you wanted to run. Then each class, up to a certain mile per hour, had safety stuff. So parachute, fire suit, 5-point, roll cage, 5-point harness, racing seat. And those cars, those East Coast Timing Association, are loosely associated with the land speed racing out in Utah at the Salt Flats. So you've got these various kinds of racing. The half mile was always kind of the promoter, it was always promoted as rung what you brung. You don't need a roll cage, but as Jeff's accident kind of proves. Now, I'm not blaming the driver, I'm not blaming the car, I'm not blaming anything, but a certain set of circumstances led up to him losing his life. I don't know if his GTR had a full roll cage or not. I've seen it had a roll bar, but I don't know. So I'm not putting blame on anyone, but I think there needs to be a standard for this type of racing, this type of venue. Now, I'm not saying there needs to be an NHRA event, like regulation or anything, but with 5 or 6 different companies all having loosely different rules, I think they could all come together and agree on basics. So on that note, kind of a call to action. I hope at least these companies come to an agreement on a minimum of safety standards. That way people just stay safe. I know roll cages, fire suits, safety harnesses are expensive, but accidents can be prevented, and this may have been one of them. Because unfortunately, the car community, the half-mile streetcar takeover, the roll racing community lost a really good guy. So it's just something I wanted to give my opinion on, give my thoughts on. Now, so this impacts the channel directly by, I had already filmed footage for you guys for doing more mods specifically for the half mile. Nothing too serious. We haven't changed any gear ratios or transmission or rear diff or anything like that. Just a few small stuff to hopefully help the car go down the half mile a little bit quicker, reduce drag, stuff like that. But so I had this whole, I was going to do, we had just finished up the drag racing mods and see what we're doing in the quarter. I was going to have like a couple videos and then do the half mile. and then get to the SS. But I think what we're going to do is, and I've already mentioned previously that we were going to do a dyno. I've already scheduled a dyno session in December. So I think here's what we're going to do. We're going to reshuffle the videos. I've already filmed a few, not a lot, just a couple. So what we're going to do is shuffle the Corvette to the back for a while. We're going to do SS mods, not many, just a few real simple ones. Be the SS for a couple weeks. I did go drag racing in the SS. That will actually be next week's video. Yeah, that sounds about right. So, in the dead heat of summer, 90-degree day out, just wanted to prove that the car, what it'll run. So we got that video coming out next week. We'll do a couple videos on the SS, and then after that, we're gonna go back to the Corvette. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bundle all those half-mile videos I had shot. There's only 2 of them, 3 of them actually. I'm gonna combine that into the winter build, even though it's not winter yet, but the fall/winter build, and that will end in an accumulation of all those mods into a dyno video, and we'll have to wait until next spring for a racing video. And with racing stuff, this will just be strictly 1/8 mile, maybe some 1/4 mile when ZMAX opens up, but that's not until next June. So maybe we'll borrow a trailer, rent a trailer, and go to Fayetteville. But actually, that just reminds me. So after we do the dyno video on the Corvette, we're going to have a winter meet. There's a winter Holden Nationals at Fayetteville put on by Rick Crawford Racing and G8 and SSonly.com with Joe. And so we're going to go, I'm going to register for that. I completely forgot about that event. So take the SS, see what it'll do in crazy negative DA and hopefully like 30 or 40 degree days. We're going to take the full drag racing set. Honestly, guys, we're probably just going to drive out there. I'm not going to get a trailer for that. I'm not expecting, it's a 3-hour drive. Just drive the SS out there and see what it'll run in that really good air. But after that and after the dyno video, I'm not exactly sure when we're going to be able to see a tested video on the Corvette, you know, at local tracks, just because by that point it'll be December. Mooresville does close at some point. I don't remember exactly when. I think it is late November, so that's not going to happen. But before we do all that, I do want to take the SS and the Corvette out, kind of like I was mentioning earlier, just to see what it'll do in the 8th with good air. Like, we've had horrible air, or it rained. That was the problem with this summer, was every time I went for a Friday test and tune at ZMAX, it rained 50% of the time. The other 50%, it was 90 degrees and worse. So that's kind of the updates for the channel and the half-mile racing stuff. I wanted to address that. I am disappointed, you know, in not being able to bring you guys a good half-mile racing video. I thought we were finally gonna line up and get that done, but obviously with Speed Addicts canceling the event, Jeff having his accident, passing away, you know, I don't know what the future holds for that type of racing. Right now, the car isn't fast enough to require a cage in the 1/4 mile. I could put a cage in it, but my thoughts are this has always been a street car. It's not a race car. It would become full race car at that point. I mean, I already don't drive it. I don't want it to be caged and then not drive it even more because of that. Because I've seen people get in accidents not wearing a helmet and they hit their head on the cage and people died. So, I mean, that's been in a classic Camaro, but still, same thing applies. So kind of why I don't want to cage the car. But on the flip side, you want to skimp on safety. So I don't know. Just a thought there. Other than that, I would normally end this by saying I hope you guys enjoyed the video. But honestly, guys, I just hope you keep Jeff's family and friends in your prayers. And he's obviously in my thoughts. So thanks, guys. Have a great one.